What's up, everyone, and welcome back to episode 19 of the Keep It Down podcast. I'm your host, Garrett, as always, joined by my two brothers and also co-host, TC. How you doing, baby?
What is up, everybody? Dang, man. What is this, episode 19, boys? We got off
Sheesh.
into the weeds a little bit last week with all the conspiracy talk. I think this one's going to be a little bit more on the straight and narrow. Excited to get into it.
Absolutely. Schmag, how you living, baby?
Great, doing great. It's good to see you boys again. Good to be back in the saddle. Took a little bit of a break, but I'm locked and loaded. I'm ready, man. I'm ready.
We back, baby.
We back.
Yeah, and just do a couple housekeeping things. As always, be sure to follow us everywhere we are: Instagram, YouTube, Keep It Down, exclamation point. Go run it up, give us some subs, all that good stuff. Schmag's killing it with all the post-production stuff and getting the videos out with the videos, or the audio and the video out all at one time and all that good stuff. So on Instagram at Keep It Down Pod, post a bunch of little exclusive kind of stuff, some Q&A stuff here and there. You can also find our link tree, which will take you directly to everything. So if you don't know where to go to our Instagram. It'll take you wherever you want to go. So, boys, we got the combine rolling around. My question for you: does the combine matter as much as everyone thinks?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, man, because obviously, you have the combine kicking off today. You had some dudes running the 40-yard dash, doing back pedal, change of direction type drills. Yeah, that's a great question, man. Like, if you're out there and you're in charge, or you're going to be in the process of drafting players, like, how much do you guys weigh the tape versus like combine numbers? Like, you see that Christian Gonzalez runs a 4.4 40-yard dash on his first attempt. Like, how much is that factoring into your process if you're looking into him? Whether it's Bryce Bryce Young's height or how fast the guy's running his 40. Like, how much stock does that hold for you guys?
I mean, to me, I've always kind of felt like the combine is kind of equal parts. I think it's a good judge of character that these scouts and these coaches can kind of get on the players, and then of course you have like the athletic portion of it. I think coaches really like to see when players come out and they, train for the combine and they get ready and they have a good attitude. So I think it's just a good baseline to see, how much how much effort they're really willing to put in. Are they willing to, come to the combine and do their thing, or, do they just want to have a pro day where they're comfortable at their own, at their own facility? So I think it's just as much like based on character as it is on like your athletic ability.
Yeah, I mean, also the other thing that's kind of interesting is like the pressure. Like, like football's all about playing in front of thousands and thousands of people, but like also when you're in a stadium where everyone's watching your every move and it's dead silent, like it also kind of provides this unique pressure that no one ever gets put under. So you
Mm-hmm.
kind of get to put these guys in a terrarium, if you will, and kind of just see what they do, like in a weird way. That's kind of how it is. Like,
Yeah, it's an uncomfortable situation for them.
exactly. Like there's no noise, there's no other players. Like you go one at a time, So like it does this interesting little thing to their psyche and like how they react to pressure. And yeah, like Shmag was saying, they gotta shake a lot of hands and have a good attitude and be up for long days and all that stuff and talk to the media
Mm-hmm.
and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, the combine itself, I think it's kind of sport dependent. Like, maybe for like a league like the NBA where it's 9 times out of 10, if you're taller, faster, stronger, like you're going to be the better player more times than not. But like
Mm-hmm.
for football, it's kind of interesting because like it's so intricate and there's so many different like things that are happening all at once and technique and all that kind of stuff. So things definitely
Yeah.
kind of give and take. But
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think unless it's something really glaring, like negative wise, I don't feel like the combine really has that much effect until probably the later rounds. I mean, if you're in those
Mm-hmm.
top 10 picks, I feel like you probably already know where you're going
Right.
with your pick. Like everyone's talking about Chicago or Houston being interested in Bryce Young. Like, if
Mm-hmm.
if he just has an average combine, like that's not going to change what you've seen on tape and all that stuff.
Right.
Um, I think in the later rounds, maybe like, oh, we can go get a fast guy with this pick, or like someone maybe wasn't on your radar, didn't stand out too much on the film. But I feel like me personally, I would put much more stock into the film side of it rather than who's running the best 40, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, those are just extra skills that I mean are nice to have, but I mean, I don't necessarily think, a combine is gonna determine a player's future, I mean, and I think it looks good too. Like GMs are there, and I mean, everyone wants to draft the guy that runs a 4.24. Everyone wants to do that. It's good for morale, it's good for the team. I mean, it's especially with the impact that social media has on fan bases and stuff. It's really interesting. I mean, you like draft a guy that, runs or catches or throws, at an elite level, like it gets people excited, and it, honestly, it kind of covers the GM's tracks a little bit too. Well, we thought he was going to pan out. He had a good combine, but just didn't work out. So I think it's really intricate though. It's a lot deeper than just running fast for sure. It's chess, not
Yeah,
checkers.
I think it's a lot easier for people at the combine to raise their floor rather than raise their ceiling. Like maybe some
Hmm.
dudes in the later rounds, like someone will go out there and bench press 225 like 50 times, and they're like, oh wow, that kid
Hmm.
has a bit of
Yeah.
strength, that you can't see on film, kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, like is it affecting the Bryce Halls and the Jalen Carters and the everyone like that of the world? No. But like some of the kids at the lower end of the spectrum, it's a really easy chance for them to actually get in front of some scouts and who maybe not
Hmm.
even looked at them from smaller schools, FCS schools, stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, yeah, intangibles are one thing, and then there's going on the field and actually playing. So
Right.
Definitely. I had one quick side note. All these mock drafts are coming out, guys.
Hmm.
Is there anyone that you're eyeing for your team that you would really like to see them pick up? I know we already kind of went through our wish list on a different pod, but what about in this year's draft? Is there any player that you're eyeing in particular? Like, oh, if they fall to us, that could be nice.
Yeah, I mean, for Washington, I mean, I think I kind of mentioned it before, but our quarterback room is pretty unsettled right now. I mean, hey, we got rid of Carson Wentz, though. He's gone, which is one of
Yeah.
my things that I was hoping was going to happen, that we didn't waste a bunch of money on someone who's not going to do much for the team. So, I mean, some sort of quarterback would be nice. I don't know. I'll have to double check where Washington picks at, but I don't know if, there's only a handful of good quarterbacks in this year's draft, and I don't know if they're going to fall as far as Washington's picking. So, I mean, something like that would be nice. And then, said before, like some corners, like if, I mean, obviously Gonzo is having a great combine, which we all knew he would, and he's going to go super high. But a guy like that would be awesome. I mean, Sewell, obviously, love that dude, so that'd be sweet too. But I think that's kind of a biased opinion on my part, though, just being an Oregon fan.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. We're kind of in a tough spot. We don't have very many picks available to us. So I mean, I could see us moving up and taking a quarterback. Like we've been in talks with the Anthony Richardson kid from Florida, which
Mm-hmm.
is something. Um, but besides that, I mean, if we stay at our like 21 pick or whatever we're at now, I think uh,
Yeah,
probably like a defensive lineman, maybe a
yeah.
like slot receiver or something like that. I don't know. We just need to figure out what to do with our current team before I can even think about what we're going to do with the future, man. Like, yeah, it's ridiculous, honestly.
TC,
Yeah.
where are your Steelers picking at? T, do you know?
Yeah, so we have the 17th pick in the first round, and then I believe we also have the 32nd pick.
Nice.
So two pretty close. I think we have 8 picks overall, so hopefully we can do some damage. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, I would love to see Joey Porter Jr. at that 17th.
Yeah.
A lot of the mock drafts that I'm seeing have him there. I know he's a really intriguing prospect for a lot of teams.
Hmm.
If he falls to us, I feel like it's too good of a story not to have happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
We need a
absolutely.
corner. Obviously, Joey Porter Sr., great Steelers player back in the early 2000s. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, I feel like you have to. Other than that, I
Yeah.
would like to see us scoop up maybe a tackle, something to protect Kenny a little bit better. But I feel like we can deal with that maybe at that 32nd pick.
TC, real quick, speaking of tackles, dude, I'm sure you've all seen it. Taylor Lewan is been cut by the Titans, and there's been some kind of talks a little bit about possible landing in Pittsburgh. TC, what are your thoughts on that? How do you feel about that? How do you feel about the guy?
Yeah, obviously, I would like it for a lot of reasons. He's a quality player. I believe he's a 3-time Pro Bowler.
9 year vet,
And
yeah.
yeah, like a top 5 overall pick in his
Hmm.
draft class, I believe as well.
Yeah.
Obviously very talented. The failed physical. Um, I don't know if that's worrisome or if the Titans were just ready to part ways and that's kind of how it went down. The only
Yeah.
thing I would say is that, man, we have a really young team.
Hmm.
So I think you got to kind of be careful how many vets you bring in to kind of ruin that up and coming feel. You know what I mean? So
Absolutely. Yeah.
I wouldn't mind it, but I can go either way on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that the Ohio State right tackle, I think its name's Jon Jones or something like that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
He has like
Yeah.
the longest wingspan that's ever been recorded at the NFL Combine. I don't think he's been
It's a
showed yet.
huge person. Yeah.
Yeah, but like he's like what 6'9" or 6'10" or something, and he has like an
Hmm.
87-inch wings. No, like an 87-inch reach or something
Yeah.
crazy like that.
Yeah.
And so that'd be a great pickup. You know, young kid. Played Ohio State. Obviously, he's massive. So, but
Hmm.
yeah, it's gonna be
Yeah.
interesting to see how this is a really weird little draft we got going here.
Definitely. Schmug, one more side note to the side note. I
Hmm.
saw on what's Barstool's podcast is pardon. It's not pardon the interruption, but it's something like that.
Yeah.
Anyways, they had Adam Schefter on there today,
Hmm.
and all of a sudden he like looks at his phone and he's like, "Oh, I'm just getting word that Lamar to the Commanders is a real possibility. Could be announced tonight."
Huh.
How would
I
you
mean,
feel about Lamar Jack? I don't know the validity of the clip I saw, but how would you feel about that?
um, yeah, I mean, I've always kind of said that Lamar reminds me a lot of RG3, which I really loved when RG3 played for Washington. I thought that was a great time. And I mean, it was our most successful time, in recent memory. Um, Obviously, I think Lamar's a great player, and if he can stay healthy and, um, you know, he's in a weird spot where, we see it all the time. Defenses are going to start, honing in on what he's good at, and defenses are going to find a way to make him, um, to try to bottle him up a little bit. So, I mean, as long as the coaching's there and as long as there's a game plan in place where you can kind of adapt to that as an offense, I mean, all 32 teams, I'm sure, would love to have Lamar on their team, and I'm no different. Quarterback's a spot we really need, and if he can come in and do his thing, I mean, and stay healthy, obviously, I'm not opposed to that at all.
Definitely. As a Steelers fan, I'm not the biggest Lamar Jackson guy,
Right.
but a guy like him is really a problem solver. If you have a bad offensive line, a mobile quarterback can really hide that
Yeah.
sometimes. You guys do have some good weapons out there with McLaurin and Curtis Samuel,
Hmm.
and so it could be a good fit with you guys, I think.
Yeah,
What
I
do you think,
think
Josh?
I think mobile quarterbacks definitely suit our offense well, just because, I mean, just kind of rebuilding that offensive line a little bit. I mean, Heineke's a more mobile guy, and he has pretty good success with that offensive line. So if you get someone that can move around and get out of trouble a little bit, I mean, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I mean the only worry with Lamar, of course, is the selling of the farm to obtain Lamar is the scary part. He's
Hmm.
a he's a very high valued asset, which not saying he shouldn't be, but just how it is. When you're paying a dude that much money, you got to look at the sacrifices, what you're giving up, for what you're
Right.
getting, and all that kind of stuff. So it's an intricate little blend. And I mean, like if you have the best offense in the world, what does it mean to your defense? And especially with
Right.
a dude like Lamar that plays like that, if you have to have him on the field all the time because your defense isn't that great, I mean, it just puts his risk up even higher than it already is with him, running the ball so often.
Hmm.
But I mean, yeah, like Shmai was saying, I mean, everyone would love to have Lamar on their team. Um, Especially when the Carson Wentz news broke, and you guys are paying him like what $26 million a season against the cap,
Yeah. What are we
Yeah.
doing?
which is crazy to think. But yeah, no, I mean, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where Lamar, Derek Carr, all those dudes, kind
Hmm.
of how this whole quarterback carousel ends up. And honestly, I
Yeah.
bet kind of as the draft starts wrapping up, I wouldn't be surprised if some of these things start kind of clicking into place. So, but
Hmm.
Yeah, I
only
think it's
time will tell.
crazy. Like NFL, man, they're doing a great job of like it's almost year-round coverage. Something's going on in the sport. It feels like the Super Bowl just happened, and here we are. Combine has already started up. Pretty soon we'll be in draft season,
Yeah.
and then after that, man, it's just a short little while until teams are getting together for OTAs and into
Hmm.
camp and all that stuff. So um, pretty cool. I did want to ask you guys though, have you guys gotten a chance to check out any of the XFL games happening? I know they just kicked off a couple of weeks ago. You guys caught any of that action?
I've watched a little bit of it. I mean, mostly just kind of um, some like the highlights from the original games and some of like the interviews that they've done with teams. And I mean, it seems like it's going really well so far. I think having their season start just right after the Super Bowl, I think it's really good marketing. And obviously, um, Dwayne the Rock Johnson, spearheading the whole thing is awesome. I mean, that dude knows how to put butts in the seats and to get eyeballs on the TV. So, I mean, I think they're doing a great job. It seems like a definitely a better attempt than in years past. So, yeah, I think they're doing a great job so far.
Yeah, I kind of saw the two like AJ McCarron crazy freaking fourth quarter situation things that happened,
Mm-hmm.
and so I was kind of paying
Yep.
attention to that, and then the Rock's coming out and giving AJ McCarron a big old shout out and all that stuff. So yeah, it's definitely interesting, man. I mean, yeah, what a way to keep eyeballs on it than just following it right after the Super Bowl when everyone's like, oh, there's no sports, and then they turn on their TV, they're like, oh wait, there's
Mm-hmm.
football on. So I mean, yeah, I mean, it's just how long can these things last is the big issue. It's the
Yeah.
longevity of these things that are the real heartbreaker of it. Can they maintain the viewership and all that stuff? So they definitely do some wacky little stuff though, dude. Like some of the little
Yeah.
rules and little stuff they do is nuts.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I actually wanted to run through the XFL rule changes that are different from the NFL. But to your point, Chach, if they can kind of get into some like storylines like we would see in the NFL, the NFL's been going for so long, like the storylines are apparent. Everyone knows everyone's story and what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So like as the season goes on, if people can get into it and like, start maybe liking a particular team or something, like I feel like that can help them build some traction to keep people coming back again, rather than just like, oh, hey, football's on. You know what I mean? So I'm going to watch football. So, anyways, I do want to run you guys through the differences in rules between XFL and NFL. So,
Mm-hmm.
the one that everyone was talking about at work was the tiered extra points. So, from the 2 yard lines, 1 point, 5 yard lines, 2 points, 10 yard line would be 3 points. So, definitely huge there. The clock changes. So it's basically a running clock until the last 2 minutes of the game. The clock keeps running after incomplete passes and out of bounds plays up until that 2 minute point. Um, Once you get inside 2 minutes in the first and second half, the clock will stop after first down. So basically, like college football would. When the chains move, clock stops. The kickoffs are also a lot different. I don't know if you guys noticed that.
Yeah.
Um, the teams start 5 yards apart at the return team's own 35-yard line. No one moves besides the kicker and the return man until the ball is touched or until 3 seconds have elapsed.
Mm-hmm.
And the kicking team will be penalized for touchbacks or out of bounds kicks. That's basically just to encourage returns. I feel like it's one of the
Mm-hmm.
more exciting plays in football, so it's a
Yeah,
good way
absolutely.
to increase player safety and to encourage those returns. Um, and then after a score, to keep the ball, obviously you could do your traditional onside kick at any point in the game, but in the fourth quarter, instead of going for the onside kick, you can actually go for a 4th and 15 from your own 25-yard line. If you convert it, you keep the ball. And then the overtime is just alternating attempts from the 5 yard line, kind
Mm-hmm.
of like college style, but just one play from the 5 yard line.
Right.
Kind of cool. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
something interesting to watch.
Yeah, I mean, I think the best thing that they could do is exactly what they're doing. They're making it different. They're making it exciting. They're throwing in these weird, crazy rules that like would be interesting to see at the pro level. And I think why like the USFL has trouble with like viewership and like trouble staying afloat, honestly, is just because I mean it's just like B tier football. It's like the same football with the same rules done the same exact way. So the XFL like really going out on a limb and changing some of this stuff and like because they can is awesome. And I think it's great. I think it's like I said, really good marketing. I think it's exciting for players. I think like it makes people want to play there, and I mean it's really interesting to watch.
Yeah, like kind of makes it more fun of a viewing experience, like a little more
Hmm.
casual and not so like because people watch the NFL are like all being a holes to all the other people at the party, who don't watch NFL all that often and stuff,
Right.
so it's a little bit more of a casual viewing experience and a little easier to follow and kind of stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, and then also it gives people an opportunity to play more football who didn't quite want to stop playing after college, but maybe aren't good enough to play in the league,
Hmm.
because I mean, no matter what way you cut it, there's a finite amount of spots in the NFL. Like there's so many
Right.
kids who come through college every year. There's God knows however many colleges with hundreds of thousands of students each. Like
Hmm.
just crazy stuff. And so, yeah, it's all about just maintaining the viewership and making it interesting and exciting and fresh and storylines and like all the stuff that makes you love the NFL. Like they just have to bring that to the XFL if they want
Hmm.
it to succeed. So. But yeah, no, I mean,
Yeah,
it's definitely refreshing.
yeah, definitely. And Chacha had mentioned it, like the whole AJ McCarron storyline of taking a pay cut and going to playing the XFL, where he's actually going to get playing time, so his kid can watch him. Like that's awesome. Obviously, we saw these rule changes play a huge part in both of his comeback wins. He goes and gets the 3-point conversion, and then
Hmm.
converts the 4th and 15 from his own 25-yard line to keep the drive going. So, like, I feel like it really does make those last 2 minutes really exciting.
Hmm.
The clock stopping, it just is more time for something crazy to transpire during the game.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, like you can't be exactly like the NFL, right? You can't just roll out NFL 2.0 and expect everyone to watch it because you're just not that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
It's got to be casual and fun and wacky and like a little bit different, but still be football. I think they're doing a good job so far. We'll see what happens as the season kind of plays out.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like football video games, right? Like you have like all the Madden video games, which are obviously very fun to play because they're Madden. Like, would you really buy a game that's the same exact thing as Madden, but it's called Collingsworth, right? Collinsworth. It's called Chris Collinsworth one, right? It's the same exact thing as Madden, except for the players aren't as good. Are you going to buy that? Or are you going to buy something like NFL Street, where the rules are crazy and it's fun? Like
Exactly.
it's. I mean, it's you need to bring people in and you need to find a way to make it fun for people. And they're doing exactly that, and it makes, like you said, TC, the end of games are just crazy. Like every like game, it's either like a crazy comeback or like the whole dynamic of having these crazy like kickoffs or onside kick plays or whatever. It's really fun, and I think hopefully it sticks this time. It deserves to. They've done a lot of work to make it a good experience for fans and players. So I hope it sticks.
Yeah, and like the more you can make people like when it's getting towards the end of the game in the NFL, you're like, oh, it's chalked. Whatever team already won, like this game is over. Like the
Yeah.
more they can make it less of that being a possibility, like and as time's winding down, you're like, oh, well, they could score, and then do the 4th and 15 from their own 25, and then they could score, and then
Hmm.
kick the 3-point conversion, like. And so it just like makes it so much more palatable than like, oh, GG's, it's chalked, the freaking Chiefs
Hmm.
Yeah,
got the ball with 4 minutes left and now the game's over, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Exactly.
um, yeah,
yeah, definitely. I don't know if we'll see any of these rule changes go into the NFL anytime soon. Maybe the kickoff one, just because
It's a
it's
good
a lot
one.
safer for players, encourages returns.
Yeah.
But I don't think we're going to be seeing the 3-point conversion anytime soon,
No.
just because the NFL has so much history. Like, how can you
Yeah.
change the game in that dramatic of a fashion?
I mean,
Kickoff thing, maybe, but yeah,
there's
there's
got to
got
be
to
like
be
a gold standard, right? Like which is the NFL, which is the MLB, which is the NHL. So there's always going to be that elite level, which will probably stay the same, barring a few minor changes here and there. Um, but
yeah, boys. While we're on the topic of rule changes, let's talk about the MLB. Spring training kicking off. And Twitter seems to be outraged about every other day about something. But these past
always,
couple days, it's been about the MLB rule changes. They're
yeah,
adding a pitch clock for batters and pitchers, kind of thing. And so we're dealing with all that. We got people batters getting starting to count 0-1 because they're taking too long to get in the box. Pitchers like the dude from the Astros, whose his windup
mm-hmm.
took like 3.5 seconds. Like now he just had to completely change it. Now he's pitching completely differently. So what do we think, boys? Do we like it? Do we not like it?
yeah, definitely. I think there's going to be an adjustment period because these guys have been playing the game without a pitch clock for their whole lives. You know what I mean? They can step in the box, call timeout, and the pitcher throws to second base. He's picking off. He's trying to pick off people, and it might not be a pitch for like 5 real time minutes. You know what I mean? Because of all the intricacies of the game. Um, so yeah, basically they're gonna have a 15-second pitch clock when there's no one on base, and then a 20-second pitch clock with runners aboard. And I think the batter has to be in the box before the 8-second mark. So it's all just to reduce the length of games and kind of encourage pace of play. So I like it personally, just because I think it's going to be a little bit quicker of a game. Everyone knows that when you start watching a baseball game, you're there for the next 3.5, 4 hours. So if you can cut it down a little bit, speed it up, I'd be happy with it.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of got to look at it from both sides. It's either you find a way to make the game a little bit quicker in those situations, or you cut it from like 9 innings to 6 innings. Like those are really the only way that you're going to like cut down the amount of game. And like nobody's going to want to cut down the game by 3 innings, you know? So, I
Yeah.
mean, I think it's good. I think people are going to have to adjust to it, but I mean, you're still giving them plenty of time. You know, like you see it all the time, and it takes forever. Pitchers sit there and mess around with their glove or their hat. You know, the batter wants to sit there and, restrap his gloves the same exact way 7 times and then, do the whole thing. And it takes too long. And I think the MLB is really just trying to make like baseball palatable for the average person. Like
Yeah.
no one's gonna sit there and just watch an entire baseball game who's just a casual or a first time like viewer. Like it's just not going to happen. So they got to find a way to make it a little more palatable. I think that's why you're seeing it.
Yeah, I mean, what it comes down to is 90% of people watch baseball from the end of September to the end of October, and that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, they have to find a way to kind of find some middle ground, where the baseball purists of the world are still happy, but, the everyday person can also watch a game and not want to stab their eyeballs out after.
Right.
And, like, I mean, another interesting thing is like the whole, pine tar on the glove for pitchers and that whole kind of thing. It makes it a lot more
Yeah.
difficult, when they can't take off their glove and rub the ball and take off their hat and all that stuff. Like they have to waste less time. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe it'll take away from some of those wacky, like little, where the umpire comes out and has to like check his belt and all that kind of stuff, which just, of
Yeah.
course, takes just more time and more time. So, I mean, yeah, if they can speed up the baseball game, make it a little more palatable, man, I'm all for it. You know,
Yeah.
like you watch a baseball game and you're like, wow, this is entertaining. And then, like, before too long, you're just like, okay, this is just taking too long. Like, it's a second inning, no one scored a run, and it's been an hour and a half, like, it's just crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I
Yeah,
agree.
definitely. Um, these are superstitious guys. They want to strap their gloves up 3 times and pull their left pant leg up and then, you know, wave the bat out in front. Like they have their own little routine, so they're gonna have to adjust there. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like you're only gonna have if you wait till the last second to get in the box, you're only gonna have 8 seconds to do your thing. So gonna definitely be an adjustment period. We kind of touched on the pitch clock, but also it's gonna another rule change is they're gonna limit the pitchers to a certain amount of pickoff attempts. I
Mm-hmm.
like that. You see the guy throw to first 3 times before he throws to home.
Mm-hmm.
That obviously slows down the pace of the game quite a bit. What about the shift? They're basically outlawing the shift. What side of the fence are you on? Because I've heard two different sides. Like you're an MLB baseball player, you should be able to hit to the open field, and other people say, well, you know, the shift is bad for the game. So like, where do you guys land on the shift?
I mean, so I think like you see like outfielders shifting sometimes when you have a player that's more prone to hit, towards one side of the field or the other. I think I mean, really, why it's outlawed is because it's gotten ridiculous when you have like five infielders all sitting between third base and shortstop, or on the opposite side for left-handed batters. I mean, I think they just kind of took that too far, and I mean, so obviously the MLB is going to want to make a change there. I mean, I don't have a problem with it. I mean, it is what it is. I think. I mean, I think yes, batters should be able to hit it to the open part of the field, but I mean, you know, fielders should be able to like play the ball if it's hit towards them. I mean, it's You're a Major League Baseball player. You shouldn't need 5 players on one side of of the field, to make a play. So I like it. I don't have any issue with it personally.
Yeah, I feel like there kind of just has to be a limit to it. Like, I know one year they like added where, one guy has to stay on one side of the field or whatever it was and stuff like that. Like, maybe
Hmm.
limits, where you can stack literally every single dude on one side of the field and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's like there's ways to gain competitive advantages in every sport. Like when you're playing Patrick Mahomes or Tyreek Hill, you're gonna double cover him and you're gonna play like a too high safety look and you're gonna play zone and you're gonna play off the ball. Like
Hmm.
you're not gonna plplay one on one across the board. That would be foolish. So it's like there's advantages in every sport in a sense.
Hmm.
Like in hockey, they just take a player away when you commit a foul, which is wild. But yeah,
Yeah.
like so, I mean, there's a little bit of adjustment that just needs to happen with pro athletes, but also at the
Hmm.
same time, like watching a baseball game when literally every player on the field is on one half of the field because like that's a statistical advantage, and then the other half of it, the dude can't just hit it to the open field. Is the other crazy part of that whole thing. Like everyone's sitting on the one side, and like he still just hits it right into the shift every single time. Not obviously every single time, but you get the gist.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, boys, we talked about the pitch clock, and now basically you got to have two players on either side of second base in the infield. The last one that I had was the increased base size. It's going from a 15-inch square to an 18-inch square. And I think the distance between the bases is getting reduced by a couple of feet. Um, any effect on the game that you can see besides like maybe a tag out, maybe a little bit more room for the runner?
I mean, I think that the players will adjust to it. I don't think it's like that big of a difference to like make a huge impact. I think they're all going to adjust, and I mean, players are just going to get better. I mean, as far as like catcher throwing down to second base or what have you, I don't think that's going to have as much impact as like the time constraints and the lack of shifting. I think that's the like it should matter a lot, but I think that's pretty small in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, I mean, in the grand game of baseball, that seems like a pretty minute detail, and when you look at the
Hmm.
big picture. But I mean, it's all just little stuff that adds up for time management and making the game a little safer, maybe like without big collisions and more space for the runners to run and all that kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
so, I mean, it's a little give and take, just like everything. But I think it's definitely trending in the right direction.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It doesn't seem like that big of a deal on paper, but I think it will show up at some point. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
yeah.
There will be a critical play at second base, and like if
Hmm.
the base was a little bit smaller, like back in the day, he wouldn't have been safe, but now he is. So, um, yeah, just want to get you guys' thoughts on those rule changes there.
Boys, so this past weekend, we witnessed something that we have never seen before. That is the one, the only Jake Paul take his
Yeah.
first loss as a professional boxer. I just want to give you guys insight first. I watched it. I don't know if you guys tuned in, but I'll give us a little breakdown kind of thing. But I want to know what you guys thought overall first.
Yeah, man, it's like one of those deals where yeah, Jake lost, but he's still winning, right? Like he's really changed the sport of boxing. We all talked about it before. It was getting pretty stale. They didn't have a lot of
Hmm.
stars left, and Jake has really filled that role. I actually didn't end up buying this one, and for reasons we'll get into a little bit later. But obviously the split decision, obviously a close fight with a real legitimate boxer. Like even with the L, still a super impressive feat for a former YouTube star to get to. You know what I mean? And this isn't like the end all be all for him. People lose fights. You know what I mean? Like at this point, we have to take him as a credible, serious boxer. Like you're gonna have losses along the way. It's about how you bounce back, and I think Jake will. I kind of hate to see people be like, "Oh, this is what happens when he fights a real boxer. This is what happens when he
Hmm.
fights someone that's not retired and 50 years old." Like what he's doing is really impressive, and for him to even get a split decision against a legitimate boxer after only boxing for 3-4 years is still super impressive. But yeah, rough to take the L in that fashion and not be able to back up all the trash talk. Um, what are you thinking, Schmag?
Yeah, I mean, I think like I feel bad for Jake because obviously he had a lot to say going into this fight, but I mean, like Tommy's a good boxer. You know what I mean? I mean, I think it was a little different for Jake. I mean, obviously, kind of weird saying it, but Tommy's been his toughest opponent yet, obviously. But I think Jake losing this fight is, I think it's better that he. I think it's better for Jake that he lost this fight than if he would have won this fight. Because if he wins the fight, it's just, oh, I mean, it's just Tommy's not a real boxer. He's, not in his family's footsteps, whatever. But Jake losing this fight, I mean, now it's like, now the dude's got to fight back a little bit. Now he's got to like overcome like a loss. And like, I think it opens up all kinds of possibilities for fights that he could take and fights that he's going to take. Obviously, he seems to be taking it very, very well. Obviously, he's still got a good payday from the fight. But I mean, I think it opens the door for a lot of exciting things to come. But I mean, they both look good, man. Jake and Tommy both look good. And the people on Twitter, like just talking about how it's just like a hug fest and stuff. And like, dude, I don't know what they want. Like, do they just want them to go out there and just throw haymakers? I mean, that's what they want. But like, that's not how professional boxing works. And like, it's strategic. It like, you got to figure out your opponent and you got to have some sort of strategy. You can't just go out there throwing overhand rights the entire time. It won't work out very well for you. So I mean, I thought it was a great fight. I think it's great for both of them. It's great for Tommy. Obviously, it sets him up for all sorts of possibilities. And I mean, I think we only go up from here. It was great. It was great for the sport.
Yeah, Chach, you said you were able to stream the fight. What did you think of Jake's performance itself? Not all the antics leading up, but his actual performance inside the ring.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, just to put it short and sweet, I think Jake just got outboxed for most of the fight.
Mm-hmm.
Tommy was on his bike for most of the fight. He was 5-6 punches on his bike and he's out of there, kind of thing. And I mean, still to this day, I'd say Jake Paul's a better fighter. Is Tommy Fury a better boxer, a technical boxer? Probably,
Mm-hmm.
probably so. I mean, but Jake has that I've worked harder than you, kind of mentality thing going on. I can outwork you. I might not be technically better than you, but I can sure as hell outwork you in the cage for, 28 minutes or whatever it was, kind of thing. So, and I mean, it's no surprise that Tommy going into this, when Tommy Fury is the brother to Tyson Fury, who's the heavyweight champ of the world, the baddest
Right.
boxer on the planet, probably. I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
no surprise that he came out quick, asserted his dominance. He was on his front foot. He was throwing the lead jab. He was keeping his distance from Jake. He was understanding danger. And, also, I think Jake was just a little inaccurate with his right hand. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
previously we saw him throw that right hand and it put Tyron Woodley to sleep. It put Ben Askren to sleep. I mean, the list just goes on, It put Anderson Silva on the mat. It put Tommy on the mat as well with a jab.
Yeah.
And so I think if he could have landed a couple more precision power shots, that could have helped a little bit. But I mean,
Yeah.
Tommy just knew what he needed to do to win, and he did it. Which
Yeah.
fair play to him, man. It was a good fight. I thought it was entertaining. It was a good fight. They both were taking some shots and giving some shots, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So also where all the people saying it was rigged. I want to talk to them now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's almost if he's gonna take a loss, you figure it'd be at this point. Like it was first time in there with a real technical boxer. Like you could see that being a possibility of him just getting outboxed, like
Mm-hmm.
from the technical aspect of it. He's got to learn from that and figure out, how to out technical his opponent. Well, not necessarily out technical his opponent, but how to deal with that and still be able to get his big power shots off. Um, yeah, it's just really interesting the way the sport of boxing works because, Chacha had mentioned that maybe Jake would have won if it was a street fight. And that's kind of how I felt when he fought Anderson Silva. That maybe Anderson would have won like a street fight. Like if you
Sure.
watch that fight and it's just out in the street, you might be like, yeah, I think Anderson really got the better of it. But the way the scoring works in boxing and all that stuff
Right.
was just a little bit different. But yeah, kind of like what you would figure would happen, if he was going to take an L, would be to like a technical boxer like that and just get outboxed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I mean, I don't think this is bad for Jake in any sort of fashion. I mean, this is best case scenario. Like, imagine if he would have went out and like lost to like Ben Askren, or if he would have, lost a rematch to Woodley. You know what I mean? Like, it means it holds a lot more weight that he lost this fight to a guy his age who's in great shape, who's in his prime right now. I mean, things only go up from here for both of them, in my opinion. So,
Yeah, and
yeah.
like it's just interesting because like Jake's been on the big stage, the main event of the card. These cards with all these people and the performers and all that stuff. And Tommy has the boxing lineage of anyone and has never been on the
Mhm.
main stage. He'd never fought 8 rounds until fighting Jake. He's always been in 4 rounds. On the Tyson undercards or whatever it was. So, it's like who can handle the other better? Can Jake handle the technical boxer better, or can Tommy handle the main stage better? Which was kind of the question of the whole fight. I mean, we know
Yeah.
Jake has a absolute unit of a right hand when it lands correctly. I mean, he put Tyron Woodley to sleep, who has fought some of the baddest dudes who have ever fought in the history of combat sports.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, yeah, it's nothing but good for the sport of boxing in general. Sold like 775,000 pay-per-view buys.
Yeah.
So, I
Nuts.
mean, I think there's already a rematch clause that was in this contract, so I wouldn't be surprised if that gets kind of rolling. But
Hmm.
yeah, no, it was entertaining as usual. All the pre-fight antics and all that good stuff. So, but yeah,
Yeah. So what do you guys think is next? Where do you see both both of those two fighters, Jake and Tommy? How do you see this going from here out? I know Chachi just mentioned that Jake's got they had a rematch clause in the contract from the last fight. Who do you think they move on to next, or do you think they get right into another rematch?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I think you kind of have to go for the rematch. I don't know. Boxing's weird, man, because Tommy Fury's not like a highly touted boxer. You know what I mean?
Right.
So like now that he has the L to a guy at that level, like you kind of have to get over that stepping stone. I feel like so. I feel like the rematch is kind of the obvious choice.
Sure.
He's got to get over the hurdle before going on to the next thing. Plus, I mean, the pay per view sales went crazy the first time. Imagine what the second one's gonna do. So it makes sense for both of them. Chacha mentioned Tommy's never been on that stage before. Jake is obviously taking the sport of boxing in a completely different direction and maybe ultimately to new heights. I feel like the rematch is probably where you go.
Yeah. What do you
yeah. I
think,
mean,
Chach?
I wouldn't be surprised either way if he fought a rematch or fought like maybe like a mid-level professional boxer kind of thing. Maybe someone who's younger but maybe doesn't have the record or lineage of Tommy Fury kind of thing. Um, Also, just real quick, a quick little side note: Tommy Fury's physique, dude. Like the dude has one of the
Yeah.
strangest, like his upper body, like just one of the most completely built dudes. His arms hang down to his knees, damn near, and
Uh-huh.
like he's just like built like if you said like if you went to a factory and said, okay, I want a Barbie doll built like a boxer, like literally Tommy Fury would
Boom.
pop out
Yeah.
like just little chicken legs and just is absolutely yoked on the upper half of his body, dude. And also, shout out to whatever hair gel he uses because it literally didn't move till the 8th round.
Yeah, for real.
So, but yeah,
That
I mean, 775,000 pay per view buys is undeniable. I mean,
yeah.
I think that like someone did the math on Twitter and the Twitter replies of that, and it's like netted $45 million just in pay per
Uh-huh.
view buys, not even
Yeah.
tickets or anything like that. So, I mean, that's a pretty hard payday to say no to. I mean,
Yeah.
so I
Absolutely.
could see it very easily being a rematch, but like we'll see. Should happen pretty quickly though. So
Yeah, I have a different theory. I understand what you guys are saying, but I have a different theory. Um, I think Jake's next fight, I think he's fighting KSI next. Now, hear me out,
mm,
okay? I think that there's going to be way more hype around the rematch with Tommy if they wait a little bit. Jake gets another fight in. Obviously, that fight with KSI is going to go through the roof just because of all the stuff that Jake and Logan went through with KSI, and now KSI is Logan's business partner. All this crazy stuff. I think that Jake goes and fights KSI. I think Tommy takes a little bit of a break. Obviously, they just had a little baby. So I think Tommy takes a little bit of a break. I don't think he's one to jump right back into a training camp again. I think Jake fights KSI, who he's going to beat. And then I think he goes back and fights Tommy later on, like maybe towards the end of this year, 2023, maybe. Maybe a little bit sooner, maybe around like the holidays next. We'll see that. So I think KSI will happen in the summer, and I think rematch will happen around fall or Christmas of next year.
So I don't
Personally,
deny
Yeah,
the
that,
timeline, but I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think KSI already has a contracted fight on the 16th of May. I think I saw that on Twitter today. But
who's he supposed to be fighting?
his name is Joe Fournier. I think he's a boxer, dude, of some
Mm,
sort. But anyways, so yeah, I could see him KSI doing his fight, and then Jake will probably just wait and then go into camp. It'll be like, I don't know, October,
yeah,
November, or something like that, and then maybe get into Tommy at the end of, or beginning of 2024 or something like that.
interesting. I didn't know KSI had a fight.
Yeah, it's 16th of May or the 13th of May or something like that. So,
Got it.
but I can
Okay.
very easily see that timeline actually happening, but it might be a little different. So,
yeah, that's a really interesting thought. I guess I'm not super up on KSI. I know, obviously, he
Yeah.
fought Logan in the past, but is that a good fight for Jake, or is like that one that we would pretty much expect Jake to do his thing in?
I mean, I would fully expect Jake to do his thing. I think more so, I mean, that fight is going to make so much money. Like, I mean, KSI, marketing genius. Logan Paul, marketing genius. Jake Paul, also a marketing genius. So, I mean, I think that fight will sell so many pay per views and so many tickets. Everyone's going to want to go see that. Depending on where it is, too. I mean, whether it's in the UK or whether it's here, like, it's going to go crazy. I mean, it'll be for money. It really just depends on if they want to set it up and go through with all of it. So,
yeah, I
but
mean,
I
it's
mean, I
like the
think Jake
mega
fully wins
stars
that
of,
fight, though.
Yeah,
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. KSI just kind of throws crazy punches. Like, I mean, they're kind of similar in a way. They just have an overhand right, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. It just, I mean, I guess it'll really just tell on where their first two fights kind of go. Like, is Jake really going to go into this next camp and lock in on the technical boxing stuff, or is he going to fight someone lower level and to get like another warm up and do a KSI or something like that, and just kind of keep doing what he's doing. Feel like it was a one off against Tommy kind of thing.
Sure.
So I mean, I guess it really just kind of depends on how Jake and his camp actually view the fight. He came out and said some stuff that he was sick a couple times and had a couple injuries and stuff like that, and he just felt flat on the day of the fight, which all could very well be true. But I mean, you know, take that
Yeah.
with a grain of salt, of course. But
Right.
so
Absolutely.
only time's gonna tell, boys.
Interesting. 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 Interesting.
yeah, boys, that fight would do some numbers. Um, boys, this weekend, tomorrow, the wait is over. The return of an absolute UFC legend, Johnny Bones Jones. He'll
The
be
thick
making his
boy
heavyweight
edition.
debut, taking on Cyril Gahn. Initial thoughts off rip. You guys going to be tuning in? Are you guys excited to be watching Johnny Bones back in the ring?
I'm through the roof to watch that guy fight again, man. I just, all the stuff that happened before is obviously a huge bummer, and all the USADA stuff that's come out now is just you hate to hear it. But dude, Jon Jones always been such a just exciting fighter and one of the greatest to ever step on the mat, and I'm through the roof that he has another opportunity. He's fighting for the title. You know what I mean? Like where
Yeah,
he belongs. Like he's just yeah, it's awesome. Just like watching the weigh-ins and watching the face-offs again. Like it's such a good feeling to have him back. The UFC I think is better with him back in it. You know what I mean? He looks just like he looks so huge too. I know
yeah,
TC we're talking about it. He's fought at heavyweight, um, before with Cormier and stuff, but he just looks he's just such a big dude, and he just filled out so much. I think he weighs like 250 pounds or something like that, which for a guy is as fast and agile as he is. I mean, I cannot wait to see how this goes tomorrow.
Yeah, dude. Like, I was looking at some of those pictures of the weigh-ins, and everyone's like in the Twitter replies, they're like, "Homie gained all 30 pounds to his upper body, and his lower body looks exactly the same as the day he left." Dude, it's so
Yeah,
funny. Yeah, dude. I mean, if he's is that big and is still just bouncing his shins and elbows off people's domes, like,
bro.
I mean, it's gonna be lights out. No one in the heavyweight division can move like that. So we'll see. I mean, we'll see how if it actually slows him down. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if he's the Jon Jones of old and still just doing that and putting people's heads through the canvas, like, I mean, it's just a wrap for anyone in the heavyweight division. Especially with Ngannou is like out of the UFC contract now.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, if he just comes back in one fight and clears the champion, like just
Dude.
light work, just bounces his skull off the mat a few times, like, yeah, not looking good if you're in the heavyweight division. So, but yeah, super pumped, man.
Definitely, boys. If you weren't excited enough, boys, I put together a little bit of a Jon Jones hit list per se. Okay, these are guys that he's defeated, and this is going to be a trip down memory lane, boys.
I'm
Okay,
so excited.
I'm just gonna rip these names off: Stephen Bonner, Shogun Hua,
Oh shit!
Quentin Rampage Jackson,
Oh my
Lyoto
gosh!
Machida,
Oh my
Rashad
gosh!
Evans, Vitor
Oh my!
Belfort, Chael Sonnen, Thiago Santos, Alexander Gustafsson 2 times, Daniel Cormier 2 times. Obviously, we know one of those got overturned to a no contest after the failed drug test. Um, boys, an absolute OG in the game. Those names, I haven't heard those in a minute.
Dude, those
That's
first like 7 names
absurd.
you said are, I'm pretty sure, all Hall of Famers. Like Shogun Uwad, Lyoto Machida, Chael Sonnen even is like one of the goats. Like Sugar Rashad
Yeah,
Evans, like it's just, oh my gosh.
that's a
I actually saw
list, dude.
a Chael Sonnen interview the other day, and he was talking about how many steroids he was using, and then he went to the Jon Jones fight, and Jon Jones still just pushed him around for 5 rounds, and he's like, so I can't imagine what he was taking. It's so funny. You'll have to go watch it. It's so funny, dude.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like,
Go ahead, Schmack.
no, I was just gonna say, dude, to have like two of those guys on your list, you know what I mean, is absurd. But he's fought like the best of the best and beat them. You know what I mean? And I mean, it's so great. I'm so excited to have him back. It's awesome.
Yeah, like obviously an absolute legend in Jon Jones, but Cyril Gahn's no slouch, boys. Like
Right.
Mhm.
obviously an absolute monster in there. He's got a little bit of a hit list going as well. He's got victories over Tai Tuivasa, Derek Lewis, Alexander Volkov, Junior Dos Santos. But this is what I thought was interesting, guys. We think of Jon Jones as being this OG in the game. He's 35 years old. Cyril Gahn, 32 years old.
Oh
So
wow.
pretty similar in age. You know what I mean? I think this is a really interesting matchup all the way around.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's gonna be a fun one, boys. I'm really excited for this one. Johnny Bones, man.
It's so good to have him back. And yeah, the weigh-ins. I think the weigh-ins were this morning, right? If I remember correctly. Those are
Yeah,
just two huge humans, and it's gonna be such a good fight. I hope it is. I hope it's every bit of 5 rounds, and I hope they're just chucking them the whole time. Which, by the looks of things from this morning, they're gonna be. So
Yeah, I saw one thing come out that I wanted to mention. There's some like Twitter posts and reporters posting that, and a couple of the pictures that Cyril Gahn posed for, it looked like he had some like inflammation or some swelling on his hand, on one of his hands. And so I don't
mm,
know exactly what that is. It could even just be like some swelling or something like that. But so that's definitely
sure,
something to keep an eye on because I mean, yeah, it looked. You'll have to go check it out for yourselves, boys. It was all like red and inflamed, look a little puffy, kind of almost like you had a broken hand or something like that. But I don't know.
yikes.
So yeah, we'll see.
Because that's what Jon Jones needs, is an advantage.
Yeah, dude. Like like you watch the weigh-ins and like they bring all the flyweights and the little dudes up and they like do their little
Mm,
face-offs and then the heavyweights are about to come out and then like 45 security guards come on the stage all at
yeah,
once because like I mean that's 500 pounds of man meat on the stage standing 6 inches apart from each other with one bald Dana White in the middle. Like
yeah,
so yeah, things can go sideways very quickly. Um, Yeah, no, super stoked though, dude. When Jon Jones is back in the UFC fighting again. Honestly, never thought I'd see the day. I honestly thought he was done.
yeah.
yeah, I thought
Same.
he was done as well. Yeah, like I was talking to Harper earlier, and I was like, if you kind of like take a step back and look at it, well, this is what happened. I was watching some Cyril Gahn highlights earlier, um, and just like if you take a step back and you think about the UFC, um, you're just taking two monsters of men and putting them in a cage and letting them fight it out. Like
Mm,
that's a gnarly spectacle right there. And then you get storylines involved, and like obviously everything Jon Jones has been through. You
mm,
get a guy like him or Connor or even Khabib, something like that, and it's like, man, it's just really cool. And UFC's on the up and up. I
yeah.
did want to ask you guys. It came out that McGregor's actually going to be a coach on The Ultimate Fighter. You guys gonna get that Disney Plus bundle going? Get the ESPN Plus so you can watch Ultimate Fighter this season. Might tune in just to see Connor. What you thinking there?
I mean, definitely interesting to see Connor again, dude. I think you're right, TC. I mean, I think it's back on the up and up, and I mean, having these guys back in the sport is nothing but great for the UFC, and especially guys like McGregor and Jones, like they are the UFC. You know what I mean? Like the UFC isn't nearly as big without McGregor. The UFC isn't nearly as big without Bones. So I mean, they need him. I think it's really interesting. I'm so glad that McGregor signed another deal too. I feel like he definitely still has more fights in the tank, and it's going to be interesting watching him. The last time he was on Ultimate Fighter, I think, was with who was the other coach? It was Dillashaw, wasn't it?
No, it's
It's his partner,
that
No,
pretty boy.
no, it
butt chin guy.
was
Gosh,
what's
the
his
name's
name?
on the tip of my tongue.
Uriah Faber.
Uriah Faber.
Rhea Faber. Yep.
Which I mean, we saw how that went. So I hope it goes the exact same way this time. I know it's Chandler, right? Chandler's the other guy, right?
Yeah.
Am I getting that right? I know
Yeah.
Chandler's a no BS kind of guy, which Connor tends to dish out a lot of. So I think it's gonna be really interesting, man. I think it's gonna be exciting to watch.
Dude, but the thing is hanging out with, not with Connor, but that close to Connor for that long before the fight, dude, like he's gonna have to
Oh,
be
it's mental
one
warfare.
strongly willed man to endure that.
Yeah,
Like he got to Khabib in the
yeah.
couple weeks that they saw each other up to the fight. And Connor has months and months on end with this guy, like one on one. Like it's going to be a long couple months for Michael Chandler. But I mean, Michael Chandler did also rearrange Tony Ferguson's face with
He
that
did.
front kick to the chin. So a little bit of that.
Yeah,
I love
it's
it.
gonna be interesting to see which Connor shows up because we've seen kind of two different sides of him. Obviously, early in his career, it's a lot of smack talk and um, telling people if it was a different time, he'd ride into their village and kill everyone not fit for work and like just the most insane. But later on in his career, he's
Yeah,
fighting Cowboy or Dustin Poirier, and he's like super respectful. Some like he just flipped a page in the book, I guess, and a new
yeah,
leaf. So it's going to be interesting to see what Connor shows up for the Ultimate Fighter, and then for the fight ultimately.
yeah. It's awesome, man.
Boys, got the anticipated return of 25 or less on the Keep It Down podcast. Who's excited?
We got to step our game up, Schmuck. Let's get it going.
Okay.
I'm
All right,
ready.
so we got 8 topics here, 25 words or less. Here we go.
We just have to guess the thing, right?
Yeah, so I'm going to say a couple words, the least amount as
Okay.
possible. We have to try to guess all 8 things in less than 25 words of me talking.
Okay.
All right. Chiefs, Steelers, receiver.
Oh, you're talking about
Chiefs.
Juju Smith-Schuster.
Juju
Okay.
Smith-Schuster, yeah. Juju on that, dude.
Okay, left turns only.
NASCAR.
Okay, this is a great start, boys. Animal with shell. Okay. Oh gosh.
We got it. Let's go.
Is it?
Um,
But is it sports related, or did I get it?
it's all random. So it's like some sports stuff, some random stuff,
Okay.
kind of thing.
So I got that one.
Yeah, that turtle was correct.
Hey, nice.
Okay, bagged in Canada.
Is it maple syrup?
Bagged
Bagged in Canada. You talking about baked?
in Canada.
Jersey Drake, Justin Bieber.
That's not a celebrity.
It's bagged in Canada. Give us another
8
hint,
with
Josh.
cookies.
Still want to say maple syrup.
With
I
cookies.
mean, it's milk.
Thank you.
Oh, we skipped that.
Oh. My fucking pen was dying on me. Okay, Fresno State quarterback.
Derek Carr.
Okay.
Easy.
Ooh,
Devontae Adams.
almost won the Natty.
TCU.
Correct.
I don't know about almost. You got to the natty.
Okay, tacos.
El Superior. Delicious. Tacos. Taco Tuesday.
No,
Are you talking about my number
Taco.
21 all rice from Las Palmas? RIP.
no, Schmack. I doubt it's your number 121 from Las Palmas.
What about tacos and beer?
No,
Tacos.
it's tacos
iPod.
item. There we
Oh,
go.
tacos iPod.
Okay, pitcher and batter.
Otani.
There we go, baby. All
Is
right.
that it?
Yep, that's all 8, boys. Grand total of 1, 2, 3,
We got
4,
it.
5, 6, 7,
We got it.
28.
Oh.
We were dang
Schman.
close. We lost it on the bag of milk, boys.
The bag of milk.
Church,
So-
what?
Milk in
It's a
Canada is sold in
play.
bags.
When? Is it sold in bags?
Milk in
Since
Canada
when?
is sold
Since
forever, Schmack. Literally Google it.
Why?
Forever. That's how it is.
Okay,
I thought you
well-
guys would know this.
That is
No.
a fun fact about Canada. But Chach, I want you to explain to people what Tacos iPod is, because the everyday listener at home is not going to understand that. Chach, tell
People
the story.
need to know.
Okay, so we're playing at our grandma,
Nana and Papa's
aka
house.
Nana and Papa's house. We're playing in the street as we do, grab ass and maybe playing some football or something in the street.
Mhm.
And we stumble across this cracked to shit iPod Nano. Like, just looks
Yep.
like it's been through the ringer. And it's just in the
Yep.
street. It's been ran over. Probably had some bird poop on it or something. So we pick her up, take her inside, will her back to life a little bit, get it home, plug her in. Guess what? She boots up. We're
Mm.
like,
She does.
oh my gosh. Because, family of 5 with all 3 of us being kids, not an iPod to go around to everyone all the time. So, oh, dude, this is clutch. So we boot this thing up. And for all those listening, you know how much an iTunes song costed back in the day,
Mhm.
And this boy Taco had I think it was 8,500 songs on there, dude. Like every song that you could ever think of was on Taco's iPod.
Oh yeah.
And so, the real thing would have been to go and probably knock on all the doors in the neighborhood and see whose iPod it was. But,
Kept it.
kept it because once we figured out it had 8,500 songs on it, that's GG's. You only get
Mhm.
one iTunes card every Christmas, and you can pick 10 songs. So come on.
Yeah. So much Red Hot Chili Peppers, dude.
Yeah, Chach, is there any song in particular that you remember from Tacos iPod?
I'm sure you have one. I don't know exactly which one
Semi
you're referring
Charmed
to.
Life,
But
dude. What?
Oh yeah, but what about is it called Jumper, Third Eye Blind?
Yeah.
It's like, I wish you would step back from that ledge, my friend.
On
Dude,
repeat,
okay, so-
man.
for everyone listening, our dad hated that song. And so whenever I get the aux,
Probably still does.
whenever I get the aux in the truck, I'm always throwing on. Is it called Jumper? I don't know officially, but I'm always throwing that on
think
just
it
to
is.
piss him off.
I'm gonna look it up right now.
Or we'd be going out to dinner on a Friday night, and I'd get in the front seat in the middle of the truck and sit right next to him, and then play Jumper, and it was just a whole thing that we kind of did. So yeah, no, dude, thinking about
Yeah.
Taco's iPod, are you kidding me?
Yeah,
I have a funny
confirmed
story.
It is Jumper, Third Eye Blind.
I have a funny story about the the aux cord and the volume in the truck. I don't know if you guys knew that I used to do this, but whenever Dad used to let me. So when my dad used to let me, so backtrack, everybody listening right now. My dad bought his dream truck back in the day. It was a Dodge Ram 2500 heavy duty Cummins diesel engine. We're talking about American horsepower. Okay, and my dad goes
Wood grain interior.
Oh, it was so good. Drops a dime on this truck, am I right? And so 5 years after he owns the truck, when he finally lets me get behind the steering wheel of it, I used to do this thing where I would go and pop in a CD before I shut the truck off, and I would pop in a CD and crank the volume up, because in the truck the volume didn't reset when you shut the truck off. So I would leave the CD in, and I would just absolutely crank the volume to as high as it would go, then turn it off. and give the keys back to my dad. And then the next time he would go to like turn on the truck, the radio would just be full blast, like dime.
Yeah, yeah. I remember he would get pissed about it too. He'd be like, "God, I got that dang radio. Who's listening to this music so loud?"
I don't think he knew that I was doing it on purpose either, and I would do it like every single time I got out of the truck. Oh, it's so horrible, but I don't know why I was the way I was, but
Just an absolute classic. Yeah, actually, dude, I still kind of do that like around work. If people like leave their trucks on, I'll just go and turn it to like the Spanish station and just absolutely blare it. And then, like if they're not around, and then they'll come back and be like, it's just a funny little prank. But yeah, epic.
Kids, don't try that at home. You might catch your dad in a bad attitude or something. Not good.
You might get their backhand fist to the back of your skull. That's what you might
For
get.
real.
Gosh, tacos, iPod, man. Boys, okay, let's chat about Sunday Ticket, boys. So recently came out, there's all these media talks, with the Pac-12, this, that, and the other. But it also came out, they kind of just snuck in right before the Super Bowl that YouTube TV is the exclusive owner of the Sunday Ticket, boys.
Mm-hmm.
So what do we think? We like it? Do we not like it? What do we think about the plan? All that stuff. What we like to see the membership look like? Are they just going to DirecTV just ruin themselves with YouTube? But we'll see.
Have they released like the cost of the Sunday Ticket package yet?
They have. I don't have the numbers right now, but it was pretty affordable from what I remember. It's a little bit of investment, but um, yeah, I'll look up the numbers after this. But the interesting thing is there's been rumors about maybe a little bit less money if you just want to get your particular team. NBA League Pass does this for the NBA, where if you're just a Golden State Warriors fan or Boston Celtics fan, you can just get like their games. You know what I mean? You can't get every game, but if you just want to watch the Warriors every game they have, you can do that. That would be a cool option.
I really like that too.
Yeah, as a current YouTube TV guy, I'm pretty stoked on it just because Sunday Ticket obviously is a game changer for football fanatics like we are, and I'm excited to be able to get my hands on it without having to pay the DirecTV price. But yeah, super stoked on it.
Yeah, so online it's saying it's looking to be around $300 for a season for the consumer.
Which, if you break it out monthly, that's not bad.
Yeah, that's the thing with DirecTV. Like, they would only let you do it for as long as the season is. So that's like 4 months. So it's still tack an extra $100 on top of your normal bill, which with DirecTV is already insanely expensive.
Yeah.
And so like they kind of just ruined themselves with that whole thing. So but yeah, like TC was saying, like the NHL, the MLB, and the NBA, they all have where you could just buy your team. So you just get your team, and then obviously, with cable television, you get the primetime games and all that stuff. So,
right.
I mean, I'd love to see them move to something like that, where it's a little more affordable, like maybe just $30-$40 a month or something. You get all of your team's games, in market, out of market, all that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, as some more information comes, I think it's a great move. I mean, I just saw when I was looking up the price of it that YouTube's paying $2 billion per season for the NFL rights. So that's ridiculous.
I mean, in the long term, though, it's going to be a huge payoff for them. And I mean, people are going to get YouTube TV and they're going to drop from DirecTV and any other cable providers. And I mean, it's how it is. I mean, they're going to pay that bill up front, but it's going to work out in the long run.
Yeah, like, dude, YouTube TV is really changing the game. Like, unlimited DVR, that's nuts. The fact that, if you have a Roku or a smart TV, you have access to the app, like, that's pretty cool as well. I think we're seeing things kind of move away from just your traditional cable television, and streaming services, Fubo and YouTube TV are kind of be the kind of next wave of things. So I'm glad that Sunday Ticket is realizing that and saying, hey, we're jumping ship and we're going with what's hot right now.
Perfect. Sink or swim, man.
It's like, like you can either back yourself into a corner or you make it a little more affordable and everyone in the world will buy it for as many seasons as you run it, which is what we kind of saw with DirecTV, like they would have these little packages where they're like, oh, you just get our cable and then you get a free season of Sunday ticket. And then, the second year comes, which, may or may not have happened to me if you ask an inside source. But, and then like the second year of your contract comes and it just goes through the roof, dude, for everything. And so like,
Yeah.
they just like burn these bridges right away, like off the first year, just trying to make a dime. Like when you already have the rights to the NFL, like that is literally all you need to like be the driving
Right.
force of your sales pitch. Like it doesn't take much more.
Yeah.
And like, yeah. So, I mean, we'll see what YouTube does with it. In the past, they've been really decent about everything they've ever done, pretty much. I mean, YouTube investing in anything is pretty much a smart investment. So,
Yeah.
but we shall see. Anything else we want to chat about, boys?
I mean, it really just dawned on me. We don't have any pick'ems presented by Dubby.
None pick'ems.
Sad. Sad stuff, man. Football season's over. I mean, the XFL is still going on. It just dawned on me. I said, "Oh, we're going to get to our pick'ems," but we're not.
Should we unanimously pick a XFL team that we should all root for together as a unit?
Dang.
Ooh, I kind of like that actually.
Because we all have different. I mean, we have Oregon, so there we have that, but we all have different NFL teams. I think we need to find a team, an XFL team.
Let's see. All right, so there's what, 8 of them?
Yeah,
There's 8.
give me the names.
So
Give me the names.
the St. Louis Battlehawks.
No, I hate it.
The Arlington Renegades.
Like that?
The DC Defenders.
No.
You got the Houston Roughnecks.
Ooh.
Kind of like the Oilers.
Yeah, it's kind of a vibe. The San Antonio Brahmas.
No,
I think it's
Brahmas.
Brahma.
Oh, wow. We got the Seattle Sea Dragons.
That's so okay.
We got the Vegas Vipers and the Orlando Guardians.
We can't even read. We're gonna pick an XFL team. We can't even read.
It's got to be the Roughnecks or the Battlehawks, right?
Not the Battlehawks.
The Battlehawks are the AJ McCarron team.
We can't like them. They have too much hype already.
Who's got the best record? Who's got the best record?
No, Schmag. What? No.
I'm a Washington fan. I need something to live for. Okay.
Who's got the most drip?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the obvious choice is the Roughnecks.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Just some working class guys out there trying to make a buck. You know what I mean? I'm kind of rocking with it.
Who's the quarterback of that team?
Guess who their head coach is?
Who?
Wade Phillips.
Oh, boys. Keep It Down podcast exclusive. The boys are, where are they from?
Houston.
We are Houston Roughneck fans officially as of this second. Wade Phillips, if you're listening, would love to have you on.
We love what you're doing with the team, by the way.
Love what you're doing. Absolutely love it. Who's the quarterback?
I'm trying to find a roster right now, Ryan. Just give me some time. Please just talk some more.
For sure.
Schmeg?
Yep. Roster. Just waiting on you.
Oh no. It's got freaking Max Borghi on it.
Let's go, baby.
From those trick ass Washington State teams.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, don't know that.
I'm just scanning through here to see if we got any notables. Dylan Pasquale? That sounds familiar for some reason.
Yeah, for sure. Guys, I think we should go play XFL football.
Yeah. I don't know.
Be ready.
I don't know who Vic Beasley plays for. I know Martavis Bryant plays for Vegas. I can't do St. Louis. Too much hype already. DC is out of the picture. Sea Dragons. Those uniforms they were rocking were straight up ugly. We ain't going there.
Yeah, we're the Roughnecks boys.
It's gotta be the Roughnecks. You know,
I think it's gotta be too.
That makes sense. So
I respect it personally.
Yeah, you heard it first. Roughnecks to the chip. Lock it in.
Go ahead and give them a follow on all platforms. Tell them we're the number one biggest fans.
Oh, we're sponsored by the Houston Roughnecks. Thank you very much. I'll take that.
So, thanks, Wade. We're on a first name basis, in case everyone didn't know.
I thought I had something else to talk about, but it's escaping me.
Yeah, I was
Jumping.
gonna ask you guys. Football season wrapped up. Are you guys getting into any other sports? We kind of talked about you guys maybe checked out XFL a little bit. You find yourself watching any more hockey, basketball, any spring training for MLB? What's the next endeavor, boys?
I think right now I'm just kind of detoxing from sports a little bit, man. I'm coming down off the football season, which also I just want to throw in this year of football has been more fun like as like a fan of football that I've had in like such a long time. And I mean, honestly, I think just like having the podcast and like having like talking points and talking about it all season, man, I think it just made it so much more fun and enjoyable this season, like going over everything with you guys. So thank you for that. But for right now, I think I'm
You're
just
welcome.
taking a little break before we start getting in like the crazy, um, into the hockey season and stuff. Obviously, we're all going to be tuning into that, but kind of taking a little bit of a detox break from the sports right now. I'm not really like super invested in anything as of right now.
Yeah, I mean, I throw in some hockey games every now and again. I mean, it's clutch that they're all on ESPN Plus, so that's always a
Mm-hmm.
plus for sure. A little hockey here and there. Looking out. We got. Oh, speaking of, for the people listening, if you made it this far, give us a comment if you want to see the boys officially make a March Madness prediction bracket on next week's show
Mm.
when it gets released.
Oh,
Personally, I
dude.
think that'd be a ton of fun. Put a little bracket in. We can make a little group on the. I know ESPN has like the little group settings, so you can like group up. So we'll probably make a bracket live on the show. Is kind of what I was thinking, and then
Mm-hmm.
we'll drop the bracket name or the group name and all that in the comments, and then we can get some listeners in there and
Heck
see how
yeah.
the boys stack up against everyone else. So, but
Yeah, so how do we
uh,
want to do it, boys? Are we all picking our own brackets, or are we coming up with a keep it down bracket,
I
unanimous
think we
choice?
we at least do like one live on the show where we kind of all unanimously agree, and then if we want to, because I think you can make like up to 9 or something crazy like that. So
Yeah.
we can all go on our own time, join the group, and then we'll make our separate one as well. So
Let's
Yeah, I
do
like
it.
that.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
cool.
I would like to point out that, I didn't kill it in the bracket department last year, but I did um, pick the national championship correctly, both teams, and then ultimately had Kansas winning. But you know what the funny thing is Harper filled out a bracket, and she also had Kansas to win, and she just picks
Uh,
like basically off of the mascots and uniforms, and so, it just goes to show, man. You
I
never
think that's
know.
the issue. Like you open your bracket and you like start like analyzing it too much, and like you think about it too much, and then you just think yourself out of it, like almost. And, like sometimes you just got to pick out the mascots, baby. That's all it takes.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't ever
Especially with
pick
the way
Ohio State. We've learned this. Don't
my
ever
prize
pick Ohio
picks have
State.
been going. So just scrolling Twitter one last time to see if anything broke while we were at the show. Schmag was talking about Lamar being traded, and that's got me all paranoid.
Better look out.
I, I'd be stoked on it. Happy to see him leave the division. Ravens in shambles. Nothing I'd love more.
Yeah, actually, what would the Ravens do? Actually, from a statistical standpoint,
I did want to see you guys got any predictions on Aaron Rodgers? He has emerged from the darkness retreat, boys. You think he was seeing visions in there of him playing football next season? Maybe. What team is he going to be on? What's your prediction? What's going to happen there?
I just want to know how much ayahuasca he did on the Darkness Retreat. Personally, like what's the
Popped
over
a
under
couple
on that?
perkies.
I mean,
Like,
definitely a couple, right?
yeah, it had to have at least been one. Like for I don't know what you do on a Darkness Retreat, but also, was it just a dark room in his house, or like, did he go somewhere? Like, it's just a whole, like, it's just so weird that it's so televised. Like, like Tom Brady, Drew Brees, everyone, they're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna take my time. I'm gonna, mull over this season and then make a decision. Like, once I feel like the time is right. Or
Mm-hmm.
and then Aaron Rodgers is going on darkness retreats. Like,
Yeah, so I
you
guess it's an actual facility, and there's like a bathroom and a room basically, and it's completely dark, and they slide you in some food through a slot or something, and no
Mm-hmm.
phone, no TV, nothing. It's just dark in there, and you just sit with your thoughts for like 4 days. Um, But yeah, what do you guys see him doing next year?
I think he goes to a different team next year.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's going to go to a different team. I don't think there's really anything left for him in Green Bay, and I think he goes somewhere else. And I think that's, last time I talked to him, that's kind of what he was thinking. So I think it'll probably be something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I for sure think he's going somewhere else. Where? I don't really know. He comes with a hefty price tag, and at his age, I mean, like, even if he throws, has a decent season, like, is it worth the price tag? Like, I don't see him getting shipped to, like, a real contender. They're not going to have the money for him unless he's taking a major pay cut, which Aaron Rodgers has not seemed like the type of guy to do that kind of thing. So, I mean, we'll see. Like, I could see him going maybe like San Francisco if they can clear some cap. I don't know what they're doing with, the McCaffrey, Debo, Trent Williams, all that,
Yeah.
They have a lot of star talent. So, but I mean, they have a little bit of a hole. Tampa Bay now has a pretty large Tom Brady sized hole in their offense.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, it'll be interesting. I definitely think he's going somewhere else, though. I don't think Green Bay has anything to offer. It seems like the front office and the GM and everyone is just kind of ready to move on to their next chapter of life.
Yeah, I would agree with you, boys. I think he's going somewhere else. It seems like both him and the Packers are kind of ready to move on. His commitment level maybe wasn't there as much. Maybe going somewhere else, a change in scenery will kind of
Yeah.
focus back to where it needs to be. Um, Raiders could be on the table. Devontae Adams reunion. Derek Carr leaving. The other team comes to mind would be the Jets. They also have interest in Derek Carr. And then it's kind of, are you going to scoop up Derek Carr right now, or do you sit around and maybe miss out on Derek Carr to maybe ultimately get a crack at Aaron Rodgers, depending on what he's going to do? So some uncertainty in that situation, but both those teams look like they might be a quarterback away from making a little bit of noise. I don't know about contending, but at least making noise.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
Yeah, I mean, no one else has got anything for us. Schmag, you content over there, brother?
I'm good, man. TC, honestly, though, dude, after our last conspiracy theory episode, when you talked about your pet looking at you and talking in plain English and saying they'll never believe you, dude, it had me twisted, man. I went out to go look at the cat, and I was double took at him. I was like, he's gonna do it. He's gonna freaking pipe up with something.
Dude, I try to bait the dog all the time. I'm like, dude, listen, I'll give you the rest of the jar of the peanut butter if you just talk. I know you can do it. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Just do it, and I'll give you the rest of the jar. Ain't no thing. But he hasn't cracked yet, but I think I'm getting close. I'm breaking him down.
Yeah, I'm good besides that.
Just one little trinket. Well, for everyone listening, we want to thank you because that is effectively going to do it for episode 19 of Keep It Down Podcast. As always, be sure to follow us on Instagram at Keep It Down Pod. Find our link tree in our bio, which will take you directly wherever you choose to listen, whether it be YouTube, Zencastr, Google Play, Spotify, whatever it is, it's there. So go check it out. Like I said, run it up on YouTube. Keep It Down, ! If you can't find it, go to the link tree. Then you'll find it. Then subscribe, like, comment, all that good stuff. Want to start pumping out some more short form content. Some shorts, some TikTok kind of stuff. So be on the lookout for that, boys. Boys, tell the people you love them, huh?
Love you. Yeah, guys, thanks for tuning in. Hopefully you guys come back next week. We're gonna make you guys rich with these brackets. We're gonna be dead on. You're gonna want to follow. You're not gonna want to miss out on a chance for that million. So come back, boys. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks everyone so much for listening. Episode 20 next week. Episode 20. So thank you everyone for taking the ride with us, and go Roughnecks. Go Roughnecks.
For everyone out there listening, tell somebody you love them and be good people. Peace.